Hello and welcome to another episode of Hearts Wide Open. Today I have Dennis back.
Yes, I'm back.
Back to the podcast. Where have you been, man? How are you doing?
I'm good. I was in Belgium actually last time when you were recording the last episode. Super happy to be back, and especially because today we are delivering you our 1 year anniversary episode of Hearts Wide Open.
Yeah.
So yeah, big round of applause for ourselves. Hey. And maybe we also deserve some flowers. What do you
I think we do. I feel like magically. Magic.
And we got flowers.
This just came out of magic, by the way. Huh.
Nice.
Congrats, brother.
Congratulations, 1 year, man.
Yeah, and thank you to everyone listening at home.
We thought of something, so we wanted to make this extra special, and we gave all control away to someone who's been listening to all our episodes, and you already know this person. She's sitting in the background, so she won't be in front of the camera, but if you want to see her, we did also record an episode with her on trauma. Her name is Tamara, and she's our host today. And we are the special guests.
Yes.
Welcome, Tamara.
Welcome, Tamara.
Hello, guys. It's so nice for me to be with you today here. Yeah, it feels like such an honor to be with you today because I follow you since day one, like you said. And I can't wait to pick your brains today.
I'm ready.
Yeah, we actually have no idea what's going to happen today.
Yeah, we have no clue what's the plan. We are here to be the guests.
I love the free-fall version. Okay, let's jump right into it and start easy. Looking back, what were those highlights and lowlights from all of the episodes? Because I feel like we can learn from both in different ways. So when you take a moment to consider and to look back, what are some highlights and some lowlights?
I think the first moment was the episode we had with Anil. That was one of the episodes. I think he was also our first guest. So we were doing the podcast, I think, until episode
I think it was 10 or 11.
10 or 11 by ourselves,
Yeah.
which was great. But then we saw Anil randomly on the metro and we had him on the episode. And I really enjoyed that episode. That was one of the first episodes. And I thought, wow, this has potential to be very cool.
It's always a highlight for me when listeners approach me through social media or in person when I meet, or friends who've listened to episodes, and they actually get something out of it, and like we get that feedback back. Because we're always sending information by recording these podcasts, talking about topics, interviewing people, but when people come back to us and tell us like how we helped them maybe, or what they enjoyed about a specific episode, that's really that's every time again a highlight for me. Actually, I was hosting an event about gender equality in Rotterdam, and at the end of the day they also said goodbye to me and thanked me for my presence and my service, and they gave me like a big pink bouquet of flowers. And they told me that they did it because they listened to I Can Buy Myself Flowers, and they thought that this would be the perfect gift for me. It's just a small gesture, but like they could have also just given me flowers without saying anything. But the fact that they got inspired by this episode meant a lot. And that was, one of these moments. But also when people just tell me like more specific things, for example, like, yeah, this really helped me understand. For example, I got feedback once about the episode where you were talking mainly about taking a break or taking a step back, and I got feedback from this guy from Belgium in a Zoom call that this episode really helped him in a moment when he needed to take a step back. Most of my highlights are like this, I would say. I think. But yeah, obviously also recording the episodes and having guests on. The last one we did with the painting, that was also really cool. Like, I enjoyed recording that one at least.
Not all the recording were a highlight. Like sometimes I had to come back from work, and then imagine you have worked for, I don't know, 8-9 hours, and then you come here and then trying to record another episode for another 2 hours, which usually the topics are heavy. And we try to be as present as possible and as attentive as possible, because now I need to ask you questions. Hey, how did you feel in that moment? So I have to be with you to really make it a nice episode. And not always is easy. And there were a lot of days I was like, I wish I were doing something else or more relaxed. But usually at the end, it was always positive. It's like one of the hard things that you don't want to do, but you know it's kind of good for you. At the moment, you're like, I don't want to go to the gym. But you know when you go and then you come out, you're kind of proud of yourself for doing it.
Lowlights.
I have another one too.
There was always these moments in between when we were also struggling with each other. I think we got to know each other a lot in this process. Just before this, we had frustrations with each other that we talked about. I think it's also always learning process how to confront each other, how to like keep your boundaries, but at the same time not be too harsh, you know. And yeah.
How did you feel you two evolved as hosts?
I feel way more comfortable in front of the camera than the first time when we recorded, for example. And I think that was a process.
Yeah.
So I think we evolved by being able to speak in a microphone, in front of a camera, maybe using less filler words, like slowly improving to become a better podcaster and host.
Correct. In the sense of podcasting specifically, I did learn to listen more, because I think at the beginning it was more about when Dennis was talking, or if we had a guest in mind when they were explaining something, I was constantly thinking about, what is the next thing that I'm gonna say, you know? Then I always say it like this, that I compare it to sitting in a car. And when someone tells me a story, I want to be in the car and you are in the driver's seat and I'm on the passenger seat. And every once in a while I pour a tea for you or coffee, and you know I'm there, but you are driving the story. And every once in a while I try to say, give a summary of what happened, but how did you feel during that time? But that's now how I look at it, in more of a podcasting way. But in a content creation way also, I learned a lot. Because I think at the beginning it was a lot about our stories and really came from our feelings. But at some point, I don't know, I felt like maybe we talked about a lot of those stuff, that we started having guests. But then personally, I started reading articles and started reading books. And now I had an extra eye for, now I'm reading this book, listening to this podcast, or anything. Even it's a science fiction book, I had an extra eye for, now I heard this great thing in this story, and I can take it away, personalize it to my life, if it makes sense, and tell it as another story to the listeners that are out there. Or create some sort of a short content out of it, which is what now I try to do more in my Instagram and the Hearts Wide Open Instagram. So really try to become a better storyteller in that sense, also gathering resources and creating content. I think this is how I changed in these two big aspects.
Yeah, beautiful. I think I like a lot of the same for me. I mean, last year around this time, it was like we just recorded our first episode, I think, in the same week, like right now. And it was just an idea to have conversations about men's health, which we did have in private, kind of, in a way. We were already starting to talk about these kind of things, and our struggles. And yeah, now it's a fact. We're also growing as human beings and learn a lot from our guests as well.
I wonder, because I'm very fond of your two slogans. The first slogan is, what does it take to be a healthy man? And the other one is breaking the stigma around men's mental health or men's health, one conversation at a time. So I wondered, for you, looking back, what did you learn? What does it take to be a healthy man?
That's a very good question.
Being a healthy man, first of all, a disclaimer, I don't think I am a fully healthy man. I'm working on becoming a healthy man. And I think at times I am a healthy man. But then it goes it's like development. It's ups and downs, step forward, step back. But the general direction is to become a more and more healthy man. And I think this is also supposed to be a process. And I think being a healthy man kind of means that you feel comfortable with who you are. You feel like you can be your authentic self in different situations. You can also be, you can handle discomfort as well without breaking down. At the same time, you can show vulnerability. So I think it's really like being yourself, and it's very linked to the second statement with breaking the stigmas, because I think it's also breaking free from the stigma. If society tells me, oh, you don't have to cry, you're a man, then, and we're using this example all the time with the crying, I don't know why, but then I'm not crying because society tells me to be strong and not cry, but I choose to cry or not to cry because that's what I, as a healthy man, need right now. Right now, I need to maybe pull myself together and get some shit done. But then maybe later, when I feel, okay, now it's time for me to be maybe vulnerable and shed a tear and maybe, feel sad for a bit. Also, allow that. And I think being able to balance and wiggle in this room, that's a big part of being a healthy man. And not closing your eyes from your own past, from your own experiences, but looking it in the eye and dealing with things as they come. Like, being a healthy man. Being love is also being a healthy man. Like,
being love,
like being able to radiate love and security to the people around you. And maybe it's like that can also just be a healthy human, you know. And I think our audiences may be men, but I think women. Tamara is listening to all our episodes. Also, women can get a lot out of this, because we are men, but like these topics are for humans, for everyone. It's just from the perspective of two straight men.
what is a healthy man? I tried to think about as a definitive answer that A, B, C. If you have this, you're healthy, but couldn't really put a finger on what create a healthy man or a human. Because some of the questions, as you said, we try to answer. I don't think it's a gender thing. And being healthy, what does it mean really to being healthy? I think being healthy means having the capability to attend to what you need at the time that you need it. So as Dennis said, I think if I need a hug, then maybe allowing myself to go out and ask for a hug from a friend, because that's what I need in that moment, make me a healthy man, instead of putting a cap on it. So, men don't ask for hugs. So might go back to the authentic self-expression at the end, that, hey, this is me and this is how I feel. And I try to find people around me that reciprocate that feeling and try to also attend to my needs as I will to them. And for me, then this creates a healthy relationship, which is with others. But then now, as I'm writing my own train of thoughts, so what is a healthy relationship to yourself? I'm asking myself. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't think I always have the best relationship to myself. I am a person who is always the hardest on myself. And it's hard. Sometimes people are cheering for you from the outside, but you still deep inside, you could have done better.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you're doing so great, but you're like, oh yeah, but I know I could have done
that voice deep down. That's the voice I want to make happy. So even if deep within I know I'm doing better, I'm trying my best, but you, my boss, anyone come say, hey Soroosh, but that wasn't good enough, wouldn't affect me as much as the deep voice within.
Is that negative self-talk?
Might be
your inner, I don't know.
It's my inner Soroosh.
Okay.
Yeah. And I kind of live to make that relationship usually the best relationship, instead of still, the relationship to others for me is important, but I think the relationship with myself for me is the most important. That if I wake up in the morning, I know I'm on the right path. If one day I still said I'm gonna go to the gym but didn't go, still, do I have a reason for not going? Maybe I was tired, or my body wants something that I cannot provide to it, so I rest. But in, I think 3-4 episodes ago, if everything is fine, I'm just lazy, I do blame myself. And I think that blame, or like a negative feedback, or let's just say feedback, is needed for Soroosh to be on his path. Otherwise, I would just sit and do nothing. So to take a step back, a healthy man, human, woman, whoever, I think is a person that has a good relationship to themselves, try to be in contact with themselves, how they feel, if it's positive, negative, and try to work on it. And also maybe a good relationship to people around them. And attending to their needs and also their needs. So maybe at the end it's like just listening to needs that you have. This is my perspective. I don't know.
And how would you say being in front of the camera, being on tape, served you to listen more to your inner voice? Because I feel like if you're in front of the camera, there's this mirror and you have a very honest view of yourself. So I wonder always when I'm in front of the camera if it helps me to like take a real honest look and to reflect myself from this perspective.
You mean like when we listen or watch our own episodes?
Yeah. Yeah.
The biggest learning for myself when I rewatch our episodes, that I realized this, even I rewatched them all, right? But after 15, 16 episodes, I started realizing that I'm not fully talking in a natural way here. I mean, yeah, it's obvious also a little bit, like it's hard to have a completely natural conversation when there is a camera, when there is lights, when there's microphones. But I felt like I was in a zone somehow. Like I was, and like sometimes I watch myself and you're saying something very valuable and I see myself on camera, how I don't get it in that moment, you know, because I'm so much on my track, like, yeah, just feeling a bit more tense maybe as well. I realized, okay, maybe there's tension because I feel we need to hit certain objectives with this episode, or maybe I feel like, oh, maybe are we rambling right now? And then I'm not with you anymore. I'm not listening anymore. I'm thinking about all these things and then I'm gone. And yeah, so my learning out of this was, okay, like my overthinker is present also in the episodes.
This is what I also said at the beginning. So I don't think it helped my inner talk. It was more of the opposite. That, looking back, as you said, I feel like, in a lot of these scenes, I'm attending my inner talk while I have a guest that I would like to listen to. So it's more mindful of, I can catch myself being in my head. I was like, but I'm here at this moment to attend to the need of this person and the podcast. So I try to mindfully shift toward this side of the conversation.
I'm curious if your conversations in friend groups, for example, have also improved then as a result of this.
Probably. I do think I changed a lot. Also, I had a new role at work now I do have to listen better because I was a manager now, and I just think I became a better listener.
Taking all that into account, what would you say, what makes a good podcast then? What are the secret ingredients?
Dennis?
Wow. Yeah. I mean, if we knew the answer to this...
I think I know the answer to this. Well, for you, what makes a good podcast? If you as a listener.
For me, it's if you talk about something that you care about, like a topic, and what makes a good podcast. Like, it also depends what your goal is. Are you a lot of listeners, good content, or like first, I think you need to like decide on that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of amazing entertainment podcasts that I also listen to that are very different to what we're doing. But I think if you're a podcaster, what makes your podcast good is if you keep it real. I think as podcasters, I think naturally every 3 months or so we sit together and like review a bit, talk about how things are going, how do we want to continue, do we want to change things, want to try something new, what's coming up in the next period. And we don't actually plan these things because it comes up naturally that we both feel like, yeah, it's time again
Time for a talk.
to talk about the podcast in that way.
But still, in 3 words, if you say what is a good podcast that Dennis would listen to, what is it? 3 words.
Authentic, entertaining, value. Like,
Bank.
I learned something. Bank. Nice.
For me, number 1 is, does it relate to me? Number 2, does it have a takeaway for me? I look for action points. Number 3, it's authentic. I value, or if I find people vulnerable in it. You know, sometimes I listen to like celebrity podcasts. They come as a celebrity, and yeah, I have a guard against like the celebrities. I'm like, what do you have to talk about? But sometimes they're just so vulnerable and they talk about things and their therapist point of view, and I'm like, oh, I appreciate that moment, and I take away the action point. So I like that as well. So in summary, does it relate? A good podcast for Soroosh is a podcast that does relate to my life. Can I take an action point from this to my life? And if it's authentic and I find the guest vulnerable. This is my 3 golden rules.
I think the beautiful thing about podcast as a content form, it's long form, right? So you're not looking at the 90-second reel where it's like bam, bam, bam. You know, it's like, it just needs to captivate you the whole time. But in a podcast, you can take your time to go deeper on certain things. And I felt this as well with guests that we had, where, and this is the beauty for me as well in podcasts, and this makes podcasts really interesting, because what I said before, when I'm in my like tunnel vision and I have an agenda and I'm like with pressure, like I'm trying to have a certain conversation, be inspiring, but with pressure, it's not the same as if I'm having a conversation with Soroosh or our guests, and then in the beginning it's a lot of times a bit like sniffing each other, you know, like checking the vibe. But then like 10 minutes, 15 minutes in, most of our episodes are like this. Some kind of room opens up and we talk like face to face, like real, you know, like authentic. And I think that's also what makes a podcast really good. These type of moments when you feel like, wow, I really, like, you cannot not listen anymore, you know, because it's so cool what's happening there. And everyone everyone can talk, but when people really talk about what they care about or what's present for them in that moment, it just feels different.
I think that's the beauty of human connection. And if you can bring that out of 2 people or 3 people in the room, the magic happens.
It's not easy.
Yeah.
But that's kind of our role.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So can we maybe expect more of this beautiful connection in the future?
Yeah, I would like to have more guests, but I would like maybe to have some episode that we do crazy stuff, like out of ordinary, like with the painting, to also go a little bit out of my comfort zone. I would like to go have an episode with a stranger outside. And it's, even though quick and 10 minutes, but yeah, just have a park in the walk in the park and ask 5 questions, have a chat and say goodbye.
I think we're still also experimenting since we're a small podcast. Still, but growing. I think we just surpassed 2,000 listens on Spotify only, and then of course we also have the YouTube one, which everyone should check out. But yeah, exactly. So what Soroosh said, we're actually going to have a conversation about this very soon, I believe, how we're going to continue this. But I can definitely see myself doing more episodes with more inspiring guests, and also try some new things out, like doing outdoors episode with people on the streets maybe, or something completely different.
Yeah, let us know if you have any ideas, or what if any of the things we said resonate with you. We would love to do it.
Yeah, I still want to bring a breathwork instructor to the podcast and do breathwork with our listeners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of great things we want to do.
Yeah, for sure. But I think also still one of my main focuses right now is to become a better podcaster. So like watching back our episodes, seeing, okay, so here you can be a bit more real maybe, or here you're again in your tunnel vision, like just to become more and more aware of what I am doing. And I think I'm also still using some like filler words when I'm nervous or when I don't know what to say, and to like cut this out a bit because it like disturbs the listening experience. Yeah. So just working on becoming better podcaster, keep experimenting, these type of things. So yes, there's more to come, I believe.
If there's anyone now from the listeners who is wishing also to start a podcast, like you did 1 year ago, what would be your most valuable lessons to teach them, to tell them? What do they have to look for? How do they get started? Do they have to like prepare before they get started? Can they gather the experience along the lines?
Just do it. Start. Like I would say, you have a audio recording thing on your phone. Every phone has it. So just start recording and talking and do it again and again and again. And the most important thing is to do it like as a routine. To not miss, like maybe on a schedule. This really helped us, knowing like we don't have the strict schedule of every week. We have it twice a month. But this gives us enough freedom to like actually record while we're also following our day-to-day jobs, and like choose a routine for it that works for you and just do it. And then you'll automatically start improving. The more you do it, the more time you put into it, you'll get to know others who are podcasters, and like one thing will lead to another, but just start. And if you need more, you can talk to us and we'll gladly give you some more tips on platforms to use, etc. But
if you're new and you want to start a new podcast and you have some ideas that you feel like, the world have to hear, I think just do it. Doesn't matter. Just start recording, and maybe for form of content, you can start with following the path of the people that you like their content. And try to not exactly copy them, but go in like similar directions and change the things here a little bit, and just do it. Yeah, as Dennis said, it's also a lot about reiterating through the content, getting feedback and all this kind of stuff. So really just do it.
Okay, I think that's very helpful advice. For rounding up the session, I brought some special questions.
We have the fire questions, but from Tamara.
Now it's coming back to you. First of all, I was thinking, if you'd have the city and there would be a big billboard chart, and you could
what?
A billboard chart, like a huge empty screen, and you could put up anything you wanted. What would you put up there?
If I have a billboard chart and I have one sentence that I can put there, I will say it's all in your head. Just do it. Because recently something happened, and in my mind I was reiterating, what if this, what if that? And there was a person by my side that she did it, that action that we were trying to do, which was exploding a confetti bomb in the middle of a crowded bar. And there was like 10 of us, and we told her, don't do it, it's gonna go in the drink. What if they kick us out? What if this happens? And then she just took it and she did it. And then she turned around, looked back at me, and was like, it's all in your head. And for me, it was one of those moments, and I was like, wow. Don't be afraid of the judgments and the things that are outside, because these are all conditioned in your brain. And I do think to some extent it's really just in your head. So if you want to do something that you're afraid of, just do it.
How's it for you?
So it's a blank canvas?
Yeah, blank canvas.
Anything I want, I can put on there.
Anything you want. Just imagine there's like millions of people passing by. Yeah. What would be the message you would like to give them?
I would write on it, you are enough, and put a picture of this red rose next to it. And maybe a heart.
Wide open.
No, just a heart. Maybe our logo in the corner, but you are enough. I think this is one of the things that most people are struggling with in different situations, that they feel like, I'm not enough for this person, I'm not enough for this job, for this challenge, for this project. And I think it's a very deep-rooted belief in a lot of people, and everyone maybe, to a certain extent. And you can say it to yourself again and again, and it hits nicely every time again. If you tell yourself, I am enough, and just do that again and again. And maybe listeners can do that right now. Tell yourself 5 times, I am enough, I am enough, I am enough, I am enough, I am enough.
Wow.
You are, Dennis.
Yeah, and so are you, and Tamara as well.
That makes such a huge difference.
And yeah, if you want, I've listened to a podcast years ago where they were talking about this being enough, and the advice there was actually I think this was the thing of that person, to put with lipstick "You are enough" on all the mirrors they saw. You heard about this too?
No.
The affirmation.
Yeah, exactly, and how it can really help you actually, and like get out of your head and feel better.
This is what I mean. It's all in your head.
Yeah, it's the same message actually, just different perspectives.
It's all in your head.
So yeah, if you want, take a sticky note right now, write on it "You are enough" and put it somewhere where you look every day and say it to yourself.
Wow, thank you. Very important messages. Last question I have is what were the books you have most been gifted to other people?
That we give.
That you gave away, that you have been giving to other people as presents.
The book that I usually give away to people is The Alchemist. That, for me personally, I read the book. My therapist recommended it to me because I was talking with her, and she told me that, Soroosh, whatever you say, I think of this character Santiago in this book. And back then I was also not really into reading that much. So I read the book, and it's about a shepherd that one night has a dream that he finds a treasure somewhere in Egypt, but he lives in Spain. So he decides to sell all his shepherd and belonging and embark on this journey to this dream of happiness that he has. And it's a beautiful book. Whatever happens to him on this dream, and the things he fights, and the things that he has to let go of, to get to this understanding that I'm not gonna spoil. If you want, go read the book. Yeah, that really touched my heart, that book. So I just give it to people. That's The Alchemist from Paulo Coelho.
I actually haven't gifted a book in a while, but the last one I did was 7 Rules of Love by Jay Shetty, and this really helped me overcome past experience. And it's about love and all different forms of love, and it takes you from the love to yourself, to the love to others, to the love to your partner, to the love to your children, but also to love colleagues at work, and how and then ultimately love to the universe, and really reshaped my idea of love, and really helped me overcome a very big experience that I was going through at the time. And I gifted this is the last book I gifted. And I think love is the main topic in the world, to be honest, for everybody.
Yeah.
What is love?
Everyone is just like, is dating, love, like, I don't, this is just such a big topic, and I feel like this book really helped untie it a bit for me. And
what is love?
Yeah, I mean, like, from when you're a teenager and you believe in that fiery love, and it's like, I'm gonna die for you, and like this, like, very intense, That's how I was as a teenager, at least. But now, like, to the mature love, which is actually sustainable and healthy.
In one sentence, for the looking into the camera, what is love for you, Dennis, now?
Love is everything. So yeah, this is the thing, right? Like, yeah, this is love right now. Like, me looking at you, and you looking back, and you're almost crying, man.
Wow.
I love you, man.
I love you too, bro.
This is love, bro.
Here. One flower for you.
Hey, I get the red one.
You get the red one. One flower for Tamara
You.
for being a great host and always smiling behind the camera.
Tamara, how was this experience for you?
Yeah, the experience for me was very touching. Like right now, I feel like there's a moment of openness, the moment of vulnerability, which you were sharing and which you would like to go into. So before I go to my own experience, I was just wondering right now, we are kind of opened up. Is there anything you would like to share with each other? Because I think being a host of a podcast is a very vulnerable position. So I just wondered, how do you feel right now with each other in this very moment? Soroosh already gave flowers to Dennis and me, so I feel like it's a very sweet place. And I feel like the vulnerability is very difficult to hold on to. And I feel like the Hearts Wide Open podcast is about opening hearts. So I wonder if you could dare and be brave to share. What do you experience right now?
I feel happy in my heart, honestly, toward both of you. I feel very safe, even though I'm vulnerable. Soroosh naked on a plate.
Yeah, we love that guy.
We love that episode. It's not a thing. Don't Google it. Yeah, don't Google it. Yeah, I just feel a tingle in my heart. That is a good sign. It's like one of those tingles that you know something is right. And those stuff happens not so regularly in your life. For me, it happens when I meet the right person, when I'm in an environment with the people that I love, when I feel appreciated, or when I'm in a job that I know it's the inner voice that's saying you're in the right place. And that's just how I feel.
Yeah, I think I mentioned it earlier. I think our friendship has grown so much as part of this experience, and it's not only the conversations that we are recording for the podcast, but it's also the conversations we have before recording, after the recording, between episodes, that bring us closer together. And that's why, yeah, I feel much closer to you now. I feel like real brotherly love with you. And yeah, I'm super appreciative of that, even though I know that I can be the hardest friend of all time, because I'm super demanding from myself, like you, but also from the people closest to me. So the people closest to me probably get the harshest criticism also from me, because I care a lot about you, for example, now. And if I know that, for example, you have a goal in life or you want to improve something, then it's really hard for me to let that be just your goal. I want to help you reach that goal. And when I see you acting, for example, sometimes not in line with these goals, then I can get mad at you for because you're not reaching your goals, you know. And I know this can be a harsh experience, and that's why I'm so grateful that we always manage to talk it out and hug it out and come back together and decide to grow from these type of conversations rather than drift apart. So for that, I will also give you a flower, the pink one. Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, and I love those kind of friendship, that if you know Soroosh has a potential and he really wants to get somewhere, and sometimes he drifts, I do expect you to tell me. And even sometimes like pull me aside and say, hey man, but you remind me that this is something I know you care, but you're not doing it. Everywhere, also at work, I hate fluffy relationships that they come to your face, oh, you're doing a great job, but I know it's fake. Or they say, oh, you look good. I know it's just my gut feeling, the tingle knows you're not authentic with me. And I prefer you come to my face, say, hey, I hate you. But then I try to understand why you hate me. And then we maybe try to figure it out, and it works. So I do really appreciate you for being a friend like that. And yeah, you can be hard on me, but not so much. But
I think the moment is also important.
Yeah, you should know when.
Time and place.
Correct.
Yeah, and this I sometimes still need to find. But yeah, what you said. I do want to add a small thing. I think if people tell you you look good, that it's not always fake, but I think you can see the difference if it's just like a casual to make you feel better in the moment, or if it's like, I like your vest, or I like the way you did your beard today. You know, like that's for me a more authentic compliment in that way.
And I can detect the authenticity of people for some reason.
Wow.
Wow. Thank you for sharing this.
You're welcome.
I feel like overall, and also since I met you since day one, I'm very touched by your being brave to take on this very difficult topic and to take on this mission to open up hearts, especially men's hearts, because I think as a man it's especially difficult in this day and age to do this. And I feel like it's very inspiring to me and also very touching that you want to go this deep with people and to take them places they haven't been before. And I feel like, maybe if you keep doing what you're doing, you can inspire other people to really open up and to experience that opening up is actually a place to grow into and also to connect. So yeah, I just want to thank you for doing what you're doing. And I'm very curious for everything that is going to come. And
Thank you.
Thank you for being with us, and thank you for hosting this episode for us. I think it really helped us to also get out more and really focus on just talking from our hearts rather than also managing the conversation.
True.
So yeah, really thank you so much from both of us, and maybe we can do this again sometime.
Is it one of those, we had fun, let's do it again? We never do it.
Come on, man.
no, I'd love to do it again.
No, let's do it. I'm down.
Yes. Thank you so much. And we're looking forward to welcome everybody back for the next episodes. And there's exciting stuff to come.
Yes. Let's see what happens in the second year of Hearts Wide Open.
Stay tuned and live life with an open heart.
Yes. See you later.
Bye-bye. That was nice.
Always.